Dear friends, now we will see that how electromagnetic waves are produced. It is very important to know that stationary charges cannot produce electromagnetic waves. We know that if the charges are stationary, they produce electrostatic field. So if we consider stationary charges are there, they produce electrostatic field, and if they are in a uniform motion, or if charges in uniform motion, then they produces magnetic field. So that produces magnetic field. So here the question is, we want both, that is electromagnetic waves. So to produce electromagnetic waves, Maxwell has discussed in detail and explained that accelerated charges, here it is very important to note that accelerated charges produces electromagnetic waves. So here it is important that electromagnetic waves are produced by accelerated charges. So if charges are stationary, they produce only electrostatic field. If charges are in uniform motion, they produce only magnetic field. But if charges are accelerated, then they produces electromagnetic wave. So the proof of this basic result is beyond the scope of this book, but we can accept it on the basis of rough qualitative reasoning. Suppose a charge oscillating with some frequency. Say an oscillating charge is an example of accelerating charge. So how can we take that example? We can say that oscillating charge is an example accelerated charge. So we can simply say that is the example. This produces an oscillating electric field in space, which produces an oscillating magnetic field, which in turn in a source of oscillating electric field. So, and it is also so on, the oscillating electric and magnetic fields thus generates each other. So to speak, as the wave propagates through the space, the frequency of the electromagnetic wave naturally equals the frequency of oscillation of the charges. The energy associated with the propagation wave comes at the expense of the energy of the source and the accelerated charge. So now it is understood that if we consider that oscillating charge produces electric field as well as magnetic field, because it is considered as accelerated. Now we can say that from the preceding discussion, it might appear easy to test the prediction that light is an electromagnetic wave. We might think that all we need to do was to set up an AC circuit in which the current oscillates at the frequency of visible light, say yellow light for an example. But that is not possible. The frequency of yellow light is about 6 into 10 to the power 14 hertz. So frequency of yellow is about 6 into 10 to the power 14 hertz, while the frequency that we get even with the modern electric circuit is hardly about 10 to the power 11 hertz. So this is why the experimental demonstration of electromagnetic wave had no come in the low frequency region. So we can say that we cannot experimentally explain the electromagnetic wave generation with the help of low frequency. So we need higher frequency. This is why the experimental demonstration of electromagnetic wave had to come in the low frequency region as in Hertz experiment. So low frequency is the term that we can explain it with. Hertz's successful experimental test of Maxwell's theory created a sensation and sparkled off other important works in the field. Two important achievements in this connection deserve mention. 7 years after Hertz, Jagdish Chandra Bose, working at Calcutta, now it is called as a Kolkata, succeed in producing and observing electromagnetic waves of much shorter wavelength, that is 25 millimeter to 5 millimeter range. His experiment, like that of Hertz, was confined to the laboratory, but around the same time Marconi in Italy followed Hertz's work and succeeded in transmitting electromagnetic waves over a distance of many kilometers. And Marconi's experiment marks the beginning of the field of the communication using electromagnetic waves. So, the work of Marconi is tremendous in that sense that it produces the waves which can travel up to some kilometer, and that is the main revolution in the field of communication. So we can remember the Marconi for this contribution, that revolutionary contribution. So that is about the sources of electromagnetic wave. Now we will move with the nature of electromagnetic waves, that how electromagnetic wave have the natures. So the nature of electromagnetic waves, that we will learn the next topic, that nature of electromagnetic wave. Now we will learn that how they behave, what are their characteristics, and what are the special about them. Now we can say that it can be shown from Maxwell's equation that electric and magnetic field in an electromagnetic wave are perpendicular to each other. So we can say that electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other in the way of propagation. So suppose we want to explain the electromagnetic waves in a particular way, we can say that they are having the nature of perpendicular propagation. they are having the nature of perpendicular propagation in the way that electromagnetic waves, that means electric field and magnetic field of electromagnetic wave, are perpendicular to each other. So these are the basic way that we can explain the electromagnetic waves. And electromagnetic waves, we can simply say they are perpendicular to each other. And how to prove this? So, as shown by Maxwell's equation, that electric and magnetic fields in electromagnetic wave are perpendicular to each other and to the direction of the propagation. So here we can show, suppose this is the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. So electromagnetic waves are not only perpendicular to each other, but they are also perpendicular to the direction of the propagation. So if we consider that suppose the direction of propagation is, suppose, in the direction as shown horizontally here with the green color, then we can say that the nature or the direction of propagation is simply explained here in this way. Then we can say that if this is the direction of propagation with green color, then electromagnetic wave are not only perpendicular to each other, but they are perpendicular to the direction of propagation also. Suppose we consider that if electromagnetic waves are moving in the z direction, then in that case the electric component would be in x direction, while magnetic component would be in a y direction. Then and only then the electromagnetic waves can propagate in the z direction. So if this is x, this is y, then we can say that this is in a z direction. Consider the electric field inside the plates of capacitor. Suppose we consider it and is directed perpendicular to the plates. The magnetic field this gives rise to via the displacement current, which is not the part of the chapter, along the perimeter of a circle parallel to the capacitor plates. And we can explain here, and we have to accept here that here we will explain and accept that magnetic field and electric field are perpendicular to each other. So electric field is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Here we accept it and we keep it in mind. Now, as shown in the figure above, we can show a typical example of electromagnetic wave propagating along z direction. The fields are shown as a function of z coordinates at a given time t. The electric field Ex is along the x-axis and varies sinusoidally with z-axis at a given time. The magnetic field By is along y-axis and again varies sinusoidally with z-axis. The electric and magnetic fields Ex and By are perpendicular to each other also. So they can be represented as, suppose electric field is in x direction, so we can write Ex as, that is E0 sine kz minus omega t. In the same manner, magnetic field is on the y-axis. It can also be written as B0 sine kz minus omega t. So here k is related to the wavelength lambda of the wave, by the usual equation that is called k is equals to 2 pi over lambda that we have already learned in 11th standard. So suppose this is your equation 1, this is your equation 2, and this is your equation number 3 for the nature of electromagnetic wave. Now omega is angular frequency, k is magnitude of the wave vector or a propagation vector, and its direction describes the direction of propagation of the wave. The speed of the propagation of wave is omega upon k. So speed we can derive it as we have studied in 11th standard. So we have to remember it that omega upon k is the speed of wave. We have already studied it and learned it, that is omega upon k is the speed. Using above equation 1 and 2 for Ex and By, the Maxwell's equations, we can find that omega is equals to c into k. Now it is very clear that c is equals to what? That is nothing but a speed of light, and it can be represented by mu 0 epsilon 0 in this way. The relation omega is equals to ck, that is this above relation. This above relation, that omega is equals to ck, is the standard one for waves, and that is we have already studied in our 11th standard. This relation is often written in terms of frequency also, that we can write it in terms of frequency. That is, we know omega is equals to 2 pi f. Then we can say that f is equals to omega upon 2 pi. So in that condition we can represent it, that is a term of frequency. Sometimes it also can be written in terms of wavelength, that is that lambda, from equation number 3 we can write it that k is equals to 2 pi upon lambda. Then lambda can be written as 2 pi over k. So all this equation that we have derived already the part of the learning as we have studied in 11th standard. Suppose I put this equation as equation number 4 and the below one as equation number 5. One more equation that we have derived here, that is the value of c in our calculation, that is c is equals to 1 upon under root mu 0 epsilon 0. We can remember all this equation and keep in mind with the example that if we compare, that is omega in above equation, then we can say that omega can be written as 2 pi f. And if we compare it with the right side, that is c, then we can write in place of k, that is 2 pi upon lambda. So now if we compare, we can have that f is equals to c over lambda, and therefore we can say that c is equals to lambda f. So this is also a very important equation that we can derive from the equation, and that is also the part of our 11th standard in which we learn v equals to lambda f. So it is also seen from Maxwell's equation that the magnitude of electric and magnetic fields in electromagnetic wave are related as, that is we can say from the equation, that is E0 over B0 is also equals to C, and therefore we can put, as per as textbook concern, it is B0 is equals to E0 by C. So these are some equation that we can derive from our study of the waves. So these are some important equations. Now, from these equations, it is also important that we here make remarks on some features of electromagnetic waves. So now we would talk about some features of electromagnetic waves. So some features of electromagnetic waves. So let's talk something about the features of electromagnetic waves, that what could be explained by them. First, they are self-sustaining oscillation of electric and magnetic fields in a free space or vacuum. So first thing that we can write, they are self-sustaining oscillations of electric and magnetic fields in free space or vacuum. They differ from all the other waves we have studied so far. So they are different from other waves in respect that no material medium is involved in the vibrations of the electro and magnetic fields. Sound wave in air are longitudinal wave of compression and rarefaction. Transverse waves on the surface of water consist of water moving up and down as the wave spread horizontally and radially onwards. Transverse elastic waves can also propagate in a solid which is rigid and that resists shear. Scientists in the 19th century were so much used to this mechanical picture that they thought that there must be some medium prevailing all the space and all matters which respond to the electric magnetic field just as an elastic medium does. They called that medium as ether. They were so convinced of the reality of this medium that there is even a novel called A Poison Belt by Sir Arthur Conan, the creator of the famous detective Sherlock Holmes, where the solar system is supposed to pass through a poisonous region of ether. We now accept that no such physical medium is needed. The famous experiment of Michelson and Morley in 1887. So, important note is here that famous experiment by Michelson and Morley, that is produced in 1887, demolished conclusively the hypothesis of ether. So, demolished the hypothesis of the medium called ether. So they show that no such medium is there that is called as ether, and there is no such thing is there, it is vacuum only. But what if a material medium is actually there? We know that light and electromagnetic wave does propagate through glass, for example. So it pass through the glass material. We have seen earlier that the total electric and magnetic fields inside medium are described in terms of permittivity epsilon and magnetic permeability mu. This replaces epsilon 0 and mu 0 in description to electric and magnetic field of Maxwell's equation, and in that case we can replace the speed of light with the term that is under root mu epsilon. But we know that this is nothing but our relation that we have, that epsilon over epsilon 0 is called relative permittivity, and mu over mu 0 is called mu r. So on the basis of, ultimately we can write it as epsilon can be written as epsilon naught into epsilon r, and mu can be written as mu naught into mu r. If we simplify this, we can have the relation that is V is equals to 1 over, in place of mu we can write mu naught mu r, and in place of epsilon we can write epsilon naught and epsilon r. So this will be 1 over under root mu 0 epsilon 0 into 1 upon under root mu r epsilon r. Now we know that 1 upon mu 0 epsilon 0 is written as a c, so it would be upon mu r and epsilon r, this is v. So we can simply write down that under root mu r epsilon r is equals to c by v. So this is the relation that we can derive from this discussion. So the relation between velocity in light and velocity in medium that can be described. The velocity of electromagnetic wave in free space or vacuum is an important fundamental constant. It has been shown by experiments on electromagnetic waves of different wavelengths that this velocity is the same to within a few meters per second out of the value of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Now the constancy of the velocity of electromagnetic waves in a vacuum is so strongly supported by experiment, and the actual value is so well now known that is used to define a standard of length, namely the meter is now defined as the distance traveled by light in a vacuum in a time second, that is about 2.99792458 into 10 to the power 8 inverse seconds. This has come about for the following reasons. First, the basic unit of time can be defined very accurately in terms of some atomic frequency, that is frequency of light emitted by an atom in a particular process. The basic unit of length is harder to define as accurately in a direct way. So earlier measurement of c, that is the speed of light, using earlier units of length converts to a value of about 2.9979246 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Since c is such a strongly fixed number, unit of length can be defined in terms of c and the unit of time. Now, Hertz not only showed the existence of electromagnetic waves but also demonstrated that the waves which had wavelength 10 millionth times that of the light waves and that could be diffracted, refracted and polarized. Thus, he conclusively established that the wave nature of the radiation. Further, he produced stationary electromagnetic waves and determined their wavelength by measuring the distance between two successive nodes. Since the frequency of the wave was known, he obtained the speed of the wave using the formula V equals to lambda f. So he applied the equation V equals to lambda f that we have apply here in equation number 6 and found that the waves travel with the same speed as the speed of light. So it was his discovery. Now the fact that electromagnetic waves are polarized can be easily seen in a response of a portable AM radio to a broadcasting station. If an AM radio has a telescopic antenna, it responds to the electric part of the signal. When the antenna is turned horizontal, the signal will be greatly diminished. Some portable radios have horizontal antenna, usually inside the case of radio, which are sensitive to the magnetic component of the electromagnetic waves. Such a radio must remain horizontal in order to receive the signal. In such cases, response also depends on the orientation of the radio with respect to the station. These all things are for the information. But now we will see some more important information regarding electromagnetic wave. So the first question that arises after discussion, that do electromagnetic waves carry energy and momentum like other waves? So we can have the question, that is, do electromagnetic waves carry, the question that do the electromagnetic wave carry energy or momentum? The answer is yes. They carry energy as well as momentum. So electromagnetic wave carries energy and electromagnetic waves carry momentum. We have seen in chapter number 2 that in a region of a free space with electric field E, there is an energy density that is written by, energy density we represent it as a rho E, is represented by epsilon 0 E square by 2. Similarly, as in chapter number 6, associated with a magnetic field B is a magnetic energy density. So this is, we can say that electric energy density. In the same manner, magnetic energy density can be represented by rho B, that is B square over 2 mu 0. As electromagnetic wave contains both electric and magnetic fields, there is a non-zero energy density associated with it. Now consider a plane which is perpendicular to the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. So as we have explained in the figure earlier, that our figure, this is the figure in which we can explain that the plane perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the electromagnetic wave, if there are on this plane electric charges, they will be set and sustained in motion by electric and magnetic fields of an electromagnetic wave. The charges thus acquire energy and momentum from the waves. This just illustrates the fact that the electromagnetic waves, like other waves, carries energy and momentum. Since it carries momentum, an electromagnetic wave also exerts pressure. So, as they carries energy and momentum, they also exerts pressure. We can say they exerts pressure also. So they exerts pressure also. Now here we can also explain. So as charges acquire energy and momentum from the waves, they also exerts pressure called radiation pressure. So that pressure is called radiation pressure. So we can, if asked the term what is radiation pressure, we can say that the pressure exerted by electromagnetic wave are called radiation pressure. If the total energy transferred to a surface in time t is suppose u, so if total energy in time t is suppose capital U, it can be shown that the magnitude of total momentum delivered to the surface is that momentum is equals to energy upon speed of light. So we can explain it, that is P is equals to U over C. This is also an important equation. When the sun shines on your hand, you feel the energy being absorbed from the electromagnetic waves and your hand get warm. Electromagnetic wave also transfer momentum to your hand, but because small c is very large, the momentum transferred is extremely small and you do not feel the pressure. In 1903, the American scientist Nicholas and Hull succeeded in measuring radiation pressure of the visible light and verified that it was found to be an order of 7 into 10 to the power minus 6 Newton per meter square. So this radiation pressure, that radiation pressure comes to out be about 7 into 10 to the power minus 6 Newton per meter square. Thus, on a surface of area suppose 10 centimeter square, the force due to the radiation is about 7 into 10 raised to minus 9 Newton, which is very small. The great technological importance of the electromagnetic waves stems from their capability to carry energy from one place to another. The radio and TV signals from broadcasting stations